Are low income, chronic illness, or even a disability stopping you from thinking that it could be possible for you to start an online business? I'm going to tell you that if you're in any of those categories, those are exactly the reasons why you should start an online business. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking it all down for you. And I'm going to be helping you out with all of the rules around universal credit, LCWRA, ESA, how much you can earn, how many hours you need to work, and some helpful little tips along the way, because I used to be a self-employment work coach and I wrote the training for disabled people who were self-employed when I used to work at DWP. Trust me when I say starting a business on universal credit for some people is almost like starting a business with a free bank loan, and it is 100% legitimate. The number one thing that was not highlighted or even mentioned by Liz Kendall in the spring statement when she was talking about getting all of these disabled people back to work, getting people's benefits changed, changing descriptors, in all of that, the number one thing that she forgot to mention, coincidentally, if you think that coincidences exist, is this. If you know how universal credit works and how ESA works and how LCWRA works, you will know how easy it is to start an online business. So the first question is, can anyone just go and start an online business on universal credit, ESA or LCWRA? Yes, they can. You can start any business, but an online business is where you can do it very slowly whilst you are looking after your health, and you will have an awful lot less costs and expenses. And I know this because I have an online business, and I also have not an online business, a product-based business. And the product-based business costs me 10 times much more money to keep going. It is 10 times more work. It is 10 times more stress and all the rest of it. An online business is by far the easiest to start, the easiest to grow, the cheapest, and you can just learn as you're going along. Now, shockingly, some people think that they need permission to start a business from DWP. No, you don't. You don't need any permission at all. And as you know, PIP isn't means tested. So if you're on your job, part-time job, or you're just thinking, is this going to be better for me? Is it going to be better for my health? Is it going to be better for my disability? Trust me when I say it's probably very likely, yes, going to be a lot better. And you can even get extra funding from Access to Work, which I know an awful lot about. So I'm going to break this down into the different sections, and I'm going to be telling you at the end how much you can earn on each one, and a very handy little tip to make sure that you don't lose any of your benefits if you're on them, or you lose very little. We'll get to that bit. Now, before I go any further, I am briefly going to talk about why you would want to do this, okay? As someone who's disabled myself and has disabilities, and someone who did used to work for DWP and do a 9 till 5, I can tell you there is nothing more difficult than trying to juggle a job with an employer, especially one that does not respect, as it was in my case, disability laws, because DWP actually failed to follow their own processes for disabled people when I was working for them, which just compounded my disability and made it 10 times worse. Yep, nobody wants to go through that. But apart from that, and aside from that, actually being self-employed when you have health conditions and disabilities makes it easier for you to manage your health condition. I can choose when I get up, when I want to work, when I don't want to work. I can arrange my week. I can arrange any treatments or therapies I'm having. I can decide if I want to take on more customers, if I don't want to take on more customers, and I can build the business in my way at my speed and rate that is right for me. In particular, I avoid stress, anxiety, all sorts of things that I know are going to trigger some of my conditions. So this is brilliant because I would not be able to do this if I was employed. And I hate to say it, but I've been there, got the t-shirt, done it. It was a total disaster. I'm not saying that that would be the case for everybody, but yeah, it was definitely the case for me. And there's a fair few people that have left DWP because of the same reasons. The other thing I want to talk about is quality of life. At the Department of Work and Pensions, when I worked there, I did a 6-week training course and a couple of very mandatory, simple, basic health and safety things. That was it. Apart from that, the whole time I was there was no training. That's not like that when you work for yourself. When you work for yourself, especially online, every single day you are learning something new. It might be marketing, it might be TikTok, it might be Instagram, it might be web design, it might be Canva, it might be whatever, creating a course, creating a digital product, understanding how to scale that, working out how can I work less hours but still grow my income. And you can take any courses you want, get coached by anybody, use any resources you want so that you are consistently learning and investing in yourself to build your skill set. And I truly believe that disabled people make amazing entrepreneurs, in particular neurodivergent people as well. They have an eye of looking at things, especially in the online world, through a lens which is very advantageous, which other people just do not possess. So look at that as a very good secret skill set that you're blessed with. Not that it's a problem, it is a blessing. Now, once you start learning skills and you become more specialized in certain areas, you can raise your prices. My prices are £120 an hour, and I get it. So all you have to do is learn a couple of things and become very good at them. Don't become jack of all trades, master of none. Follow your heart and do what you enjoy, because there's no point in being self-employed if you don't enjoy it. You have to find something that you truly enjoy or turn a passion that you like into a business, because like that you will have the motivation to get up every day, because it's not always easy. But it's a lot more rewarding than working for somebody else. Fact. So let's talk about the process. How does this actually work? Now, lots of people on universal credit and other associated benefits seem to think that you're going to go down to the job centre and they're going to turn into a business mentor and coach like me. No, they're not. Their only job is to administer the claim. They're not allowed to give you out any business advice. They're not allowed to give you out any market advice. And to be honest, you'd probably be very grateful that they didn't. Because in my experience, some are very hard pushed to process a claim very well. So you really don't want them giving you any business advice. So you simply, maybe you want to have a chat with them, maybe you want to talk it over with them, but they can't really influence you in any way. They are definitely not allowed to do that. And they're also not allowed to tell you that you don't have the right to try. And I have heard that from some of my followers, be it on TikTok or here on YouTube, that have told me that they have been told that they have to make a certain amount of money. And I'm going to come on to that a little bit later. Now, when you are on universal credit, you simply, once you've decided that you want to become self-employed, you simply make a change of circumstances from unemployed to self-employed. Now, I want to explain the difference here between HMRC rules and universal credit, because I know this is where lots of people get confused. The two rules are completely different. For HMRC, you do not have to declare yourself as self-employed until you have made £1,000 in sales or income. That is not the same for universal credit. HMRC measure the income. Universal credit's measurement of self-employment is your activity, whether you are prosperous or not. And that's where people sometimes get themselves in trouble, because they go off, try out self-employment on the side. They don't tell universal credit. Universal Credit find out. Trust me, as soon as you've got a national insurance number, they can pretty much see everything. And then you get called in, and then that's when the problems start. So remember, as soon as you've decided that you want to become self-employed, you don't have to be profitable, right, on Universal Credit to start a business. As soon as you've decided, I want to start a business or I want to be self-employed, they're pretty much the same thing if you ask me, then you simply make that change of circumstances from unemployed to self-employed. Now, what happens next is you will be called in for an appointment. This is an automatic, the system generates this automatically. You'll be called in for something called a gateway appointment. The gateway appointment is mandatory and it is an assessment. So it's not about how much money you're going to make. It's about the activity and what you're going to be doing. And what the work coaches who run that, and they are specially trained, so they're not like average work coaches. You have to have special training to do the self-employment assessments. The three things that they're going to be looking for in this assessment are the things that I'm going to tell you next. Number one, is the business activity transparent? So what that means is, have you thought about it? Have you put together a little business plan? And by the way, if you haven't got one of those and you don't know about any of the things I'm going to be telling you from this moment onwards, I do have an online business bundle, which I will link down below. It's also incredibly useful for people on access to work as well. Very important. So transparent, you've got a business plan, you've got a separate business bank account. It doesn't have to be a business bank account, just a separate account. So it's like your personal money and the money for your business is in another account. That you have registered with HMRC. Now, everybody has to register with HMRC if they want to be self-employed or start a business for Universal Credit, okay? Remember, I told you it's different rules if you're not on Universal Credit and you want to start a business. It's that £1,000 sales turnover that makes a difference. That's not the same for Universal Credit. The second point is the activity. So in order for your employment or your self-employment or your business to be considered a business or self-employment, it needs to be a regular activity. So that means that's something you're going to be doing regularly, whether that's twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, 7 times a week, it doesn't matter. If you're going to do it, I'm going to do it like once a month and then I might do it a few months later. I don't know, probably not. And then I might do it in the winter or the summer. No, that's not going to work. It needs to be a regular activity. And the third thing that you're going to be assessed for in the gateway appointment is the expectation of profit. So you don't have to be profitable at the start, remember, but what they are looking for is this a business activity that is being set up or about to be set up in the expectation of making profit? So I'm going to explain what that means. Lots of people have lots of ideas about a business, be it online or offline. But don't forget, when you're on Universal Credit, you can start a business, you can become self-employed, but your realizations have to be realistic. So if you said something like, I've got absolutely no money at all, I've got no savings, because they will ask you, and I'm on Universal Credit, but my business idea is to go and buy luxury Sunseeker yachts and sail around the world. And trust me, I have heard lots of things. I really have heard a lot of things. Then it's very likely that they're going to say, no, this is a business idea that has there is no way that this could make money. Now, that's because you have said you have no income and there's no way for you to generate any income because you need to get the income to do it. So that's one thing. And they might also look at it in the other, like right at the other end of the scale. So, for example, somebody might say something like, in the summer, I want to go and pick wildflowers, make bouquets, handmade bouquets, and sell them to hotels and restaurants. They're probably going to say there is not much profit. The expectation of profit in that business idea is going to be very minor, and it's going to be seasonal as well. So don't forget, your business idea needs to be a regular activity. So if it's something like what I've just said, they are likely to say, yeah, we're not going to find you gainfully self-employed. Now, I'm going to break down what gainfully and non-gainfully self-employed actually means. But even if they don't agree with your business idea, technically, they cannot stop you from doing it. Now, remember when I said earlier that the gateway appointment is an assessment? As well as the three things that I have just mentioned there, they are also going to be looking to see whether or not you are going to be getting a gainful or non-gainful statement. So what do these mean, and how does it impact your claim? If you're found gainful, the term that will be used is, I have found you gainfully self-employed. Here is a letter in your journal, blah, 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 blah. So being found gainfully self-employed means that you will be left alone for up to 12 months to start your business, work on your business, and grow your business. And I think they're rolling it out in different parts of the country, or they were, where they will, some job centres or some areas will be doing self-employment reviews, so one every quarter, and some job centres are doing self-employment reviews, every 6 months. Now, these reviews are really important because a work coach, if you're not really doing anything with your business, they can decide to bring in the minimum income floor. The minimum income floor cannot be applied to somebody who is non-gainfully self-employed. So gainfully self-employed is great because it gives you the possibility of starting a business, but it also has that caveat of being found gainfully self-employed. So being found gainfully self-employed is really good because you get a whole 12 months of just being left alone to start your business. You don't have to go into the job centre and look for work or anything like that. You can just completely dedicate all of your time and your effort to starting and growing your business. But at the end of the 12 months, if you haven't made a certain amount of income, they can just apply that income to your claim as if you were earning it. And that is called the minimum income floor. Now, there are slight workarounds around that are legitimate as well. And I think that's probably one for another video. But let's talk about what happens if you've been found non-gainful or not gainfully self-employed. If after the gateway assessment they find you not gainful or not gainfully self-employed, and it's probably going to be because you haven't met all of those 3 points in the assessment criteria, then they will fill out on this form and send you this letter saying, I'm ever so sorry, but you've been found non-gainfully self-employed. Now, what does that mean? It means that you still have to then go and look for work. You will be kept probably in the intensive work group, which means where you have to go in for appointments every single week or every single 2 weeks. But you can actually still be self-employed. You can still be self-employed and unemployed at the same time. They're just saying to you, we're not going to give you a 12-month startup period. So, it's up to you. So, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh no, they can't do that. You can't actually do your business, but you can. You just have to report your income and your expenses every single month on your claim and still carry on meeting the criteria for your claim, which is written out in your commitments. Very important. And one of that will be to rock up every so often, every week or every 2 weeks, attend your appointments and evidence of work search. Now, if you fall into certain categories, you cannot be found gainfully self-employed automatically. and that is a protective measure. And that is particularly around people with disabilities and health conditions. And when I say a protective measure, the protection is the non-admittal of the minimum income floor. And that's to make sure that people who have disabilities, as I said, or health conditions aren't perhaps going to find a zero payout of universal credit on their statement, which can happen on some claims if people have had the minimum income floor applied to their self-employment claim. So typically, people who are in the LCWRA activity cannot have the minimum income floor applied to their claim. And for some people as well who are in receipt of ESA as well, that is also the same for them. Now, all of this is current. This could all change if these new changes come in, because LCWRA is going to be downgraded to LCW. ESA is just going to be turned into the health element of universal credit, etc., etc. We're not going to be going into that right now. I know there is an awful lot to do in all of this, which is why I created a bundle, why I've got workbooks about it, why I've got templates, why I've got tutorials, all of these things, because I know it's a lot of information to consume, and no one in the job centre is going to go through it bit by bit like this with you. Trust me, because they don't have the time. Now, remember when I said at the start, people who have health conditions or disabilities can start a business, and it's almost like having a free bank loan to help you. Let me explain what I mean by that. When it comes to calculating the minimum income floor for people who will be found gainfully self-employed, it is always, most of the time, calculated on a full-time working week. So that's going to be 35 hours multiplied by the minimum wage for that person's age group for the week. So that could be £1,750, £1,820 a month, what have you. But if you have health conditions, or you're in any of these groups here, or you have a disability, you can have tapering applied to your claim. And this is a reasonable adjustment. A reasonable adjustment is your right as a disabled person under the Equality Act of 2010. So that means you're protected under the Equality Act of 2010. So what the work coach should be saying to you is, in that assessment appointment, the gateway appointment assessment, is, hello, Jane, can you tell me how many hours a week do you feel you could work in your self-employment whilst managing your health condition? Now, when we're talking about this means all of your accounts, your social media, your business planning, doing whatever it is that you're doing. If you say, I feel at the moment, I just want to see if I can manage 5 hours a week, then that's all you need to do, 5 hours a week. If you say, I feel I can only do 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week, then that's all you have to do. You do not have to do 35 hours a week. Now, should you find yourself in a situation where you have a work coach that is more or less saying to you, yeah, I'm not going to be able to find you gainful because you're not going to be able to do a full-time working week, that would be direct disability discrimination if you have a health condition that is long-term and is considered a disability. Okay, so you must remember to say, actually, I believe I can have tapering applied to my claim on this assessment, and I'm going to try to do 5 hours a week or whatever it is. And then from that moment, because you're in these protected characteristics, as I said, you can't be found gainfully self-employed, so you will not be able to have the startup period, but you won't have the minimum income floor applied to either. So you get to keep your universal credit, your LCWRA, and you can earn up to about £600 if you don't receive the housing element of universal credit on self-employment before universal credit take 55p in every pound. And if you receive the housing element, it's about £420. So as you can see, you could earn yourself another £500 plus every month before it potentially starts affecting your claim. But don't forget, when we're self-employed, we're running a business. So you have to think about your expenses, which means, let's just say you have earned £2,000 one month. You've had a brilliant month and you've done £2,000 worth of sales. And I've got a very handy spreadsheet that I created for this. It's in my business bundle. So I'm going to get this out and show you now because it just clearly will help you. Trust me, it would just make sense. Okay, here we go here. I've called it my myth formula workbook. So what did I say? I think I said £2,000. Let's just say you earn £2,000. You have a brilliant month and you've done £2,000. But your expenses are £500. The money that Universal Credit will use to calculate or start to calculate your claim is your total profit. It's not your income or your expenses, it's your total profit. Now, let's just say you have a minimum income floor because you don't have a health condition. That means Universal Credit will say, okay, you've got the minimum income floor of £1,700. So it means you will have afterwards a total income of less £200. So they're not going to take any money off you. Okay. But let's just do a slightly different calculation. Let's just say in this example that you have had a brilliant month and you've done £3,000 worth of income, but your expenses are only £300. Absolutely wonderful. That's going to leave you a total profit of £2,700. But if you've got a minimum income floor applied, and don't forget, this is not for people on LCWRA, okay? So for everybody else, this will very likely apply. Universal Credit will say, well, the total income after the minimum income floor is £1,000. Now, this is where lots of people kind of go a little bit wrong because they don't understand the way this works out. From that £1,000, you don't get to keep all of that. Universal Credit will say you can keep 450 of that £1,000. You can keep 450, and we will take 55p in every pound, which means you can keep 500. We will take £550. So from the 1,000, sorry, it's my formulas that throw me off there. From the £1,000, you can keep 450, and they will take £550. And this is why so many people think that it is not a good idea for them to be self-employed because they do not understand what to do. So what I would say to someone is, well, look, you've got extra income there. Universal Credit are going to take 550 quid this month. Is there anything else in this month that you could buy for your business? Something that you need that is wholly and exclusively for the use of your business? Or do you have a bill that you need to pay off for your business? If you do, it's better that you pay those things off, or you buy those things here. So let's just say £850. Okay, now as you can see, you owe a Universal Credit are going to be taking only 247. Maybe you're going to have even more expenses. Maybe you're going to have software that you've got to buy. Maybe you're going to have your website worked on. Maybe you're going to be doing something else. I don't know. Can you see how it takes down the share from Universal Credit whilst you are taking that money and you are reinvesting it back in your business? Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that as long as the things that you're buying or the money that you're spending on your business is for your business and it is wholly and exclusively for your business. And this is what I do every single year in my business. My accountant would tell me what my profit is, or what my loss is. Have you got anything else you need? Then whatever you need, you're just going to buy it for your business. That's completely legitimate. Now, there becomes a point in your business, obviously, that it does need to make profit. You can't keep a business running at a loss. Number one, HMRC are definitely not going to have it, and Universal Credit aren't going to have it either. So if your business is not making a profit, then maybe you need to be thinking, is this the right business for me? Have I chosen the right business type for me? Do I need help with marketing? Do I need help with restructuring? What is it? Because sometimes it's not that you're not any good at business, it's that maybe you haven't chosen the right business type and the right niche for you. And that is something I'm very good at. I feel there's still loads more that I need to be telling you about this. I feel there's loads more I need to be telling you as well, but I just think that's quite a lot for you to take in already. Let me know if there is anything you want me to go over. Drop your questions in the comments, and I think I probably need to be doing lots of other different videos around this to help you, because it is a little bit of a quagmire. But honestly, once you understand the rules, it's possibly a much nicer way to spend your days, instead of worrying about money, worrying about are you going to fit in, worrying about issues at work and all the rest of it. Anyway, hope it helps. I'm going to leave details and things down below. Have a great day, everybody.